Thank you for joining. My name is Dr. Pai Eze. I'll be the moderator for this mini seminar today. And our speaker, just like you can already see when you registered for this seminar or on my screen as well, is Dr. Shamsudeen Dandare. Just a brief introduction of who he is. I actually met Dr. Shamsudeen the first time. That was in 2015, right?
Yeah,
When he
2015.
joined Queen's University Belfast as a PhD student then. It was just, I think, about 3 of us who were Blacks within our school at the time. But I must say, before the PhD, Shamsudeen did Bachelor's of Science in Biochemistry from Usman Danfodio University in Sokoto, proceeded to University College London for a master's program in biochemical engineering, and then the PhD at Queen's University Belfast, where he looked mainly on metagenomics, biocatalysis, and bioinformatics. So these are just some of the areas he did. But why he is the right speaker for this, our seminar this evening, is because Shamsudeen won a Shell Scholarship, which covered his undergraduate studies, and also won Petroleum Technology Development Trust Fund, which sponsored his master's degree at University College London, and won Commonwealth PhD Scholarship, which funded his PhD at Queen's University Belfast. So you can see he has got some of those hints, those tricks that is hopefully help us to scale through in our application for this Commonwealth Scholarship. So please stay behind while we listen to him, and hopefully we learn one or two things from Dr. Shamsudeen. But before I hand over to him, I would just want you to take note of some of our email addresses, some social media handles, in case you want to follow our Facebook page, or you want to join our Telegram group, or maybe you want to watch some of our previous videos of the seminars we've conducted in our YouTube channel. You can follow this link. And if you want to get more information about Zeribe Nwosu Foundation, you can just go to this website and be able to get more information about that. And maybe there is something typical you just want to contact the foundation about. You can use these two email addresses to contact us. Thank you for joining us once again. I'll hand over to Dr. Shamsudeen at this point. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Pai, thank you very much for the kind introduction. I think I'll just share my screen at this moment. So once again, Dr. Pai, thank you very much for the kind introduction. Welcome everyone to this mini seminar series, which the Zeribe Foundation has provided the platform for us to share some of our knowledge, especially for the benefit of our younger ones. So the discussion today is mainly going to be Commonwealth Scholarships, a guide. So what I will be doing basically is, this is an outline I just came up with. So the first thing is just to go to introduce what Commonwealth is, and then tell you why Commonwealth Scholarship. Why do you need to apply for Commonwealth Scholarship, even though there are a lot of other scholarships out there? And then also take you through the types of Commonwealth scholarships available. And then we are going to spend most of our time on tips, which is what we are here for today, because probably most of you have already started applying, because the application form the application is ongoing. So just to give you some tips based on my own personal experience and also the experiences of Commonwealth scholars which I studied with, which most of them are Commonwealth alumni, just as myself. And then talk about the reasons for failure, why when you apply, you just don't get it. And hopefully at the end of it, we will have, the moderator will have some time for Q&A session for the questions you will have. So that's just the outline, and we'll just kick in now. So Commonwealth scholarships are administered by the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission in the UK. And this is mainly the government scholarship scheme awarded to Commonwealth citizens. Because of the ties Commonwealth countries have with the UK government found it important to actually give scholarships to talented and excellent students from Commonwealth countries to come over to the UK and leverage on the expertise and the resources, the infrastructure to study in order to gain some knowledge and then go back to their home countries and help their countries develop. So that is the major reason for the Commonwealth Scholarship. So as I just mentioned, the main objective of the scholarship is basically international development, to help those Commonwealth countries develop, and also for the UK to foster a link and collaboration between itself and all other Commonwealth countries. This is also an excellent demonstration by the UK, an excellent demonstration of the commitment of the UK to Commonwealth countries. And it will interest you to know that the scholarship started in 1960, and over 30,000 people to date have actually benefited from this scholarship. So that is to also encourage you to know that if 30,000 people can actually get this scholarship, why can't you get? You are just one out of many. So you should be able to get this scholarship as well. So why Commonwealth Scholarship? During the introduction of Dr. Why, he did mention is a prestigious scholarship. In fact, it is one of the most prestigious scholarships I know. The Commonwealth scholars, Commonwealth alumni, and even the UK government prides itself in this scholarship. And we also are proud of ourselves being Commonwealth alumni. So it is very prestigious. And another reason, which is a very important reason, is that it is open to all disciplines. So unlike some scholarships that are restricted or discipline specific, the Commonwealth Scholarship allows you, whatever discipline you are, whatever you want to study, whatever research you have, you can actually apply, be it science, engineering, technology, humanities, social sciences, name it, whatever it is, you have a chance here. Another important reason also is that it's a full package scholarship. And what I mean by a full package scholarship is that everything is paid for. You don't need to pay a penny throughout the process of this scholarship, starting from the tuition fees, your living expenses, visas, flight tickets, travels and conferences, laptops, warm clothing, a lot, everything you need to succeed, to study, is being taken care of. So all you need to do is just study and make the best out of your time if you eventually get the scholarship. Also, the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission, designs a lot of development programs for the Commonwealth scholars. So when the Commonwealth scholars start, there are a lot of development programs for them to go through, which allows them to think about the development of their own locality, the development of their nations, and the development of the entire globe in general. So scholars are being taken through a lot of programs. We go for retreats, mostly at Cumberland Lodge, which is a very nice place to be. So it's just close to the Windsor Castle. So you go there for a retreat as members of the intelligentsia to discuss issues, discuss problems in your countries and solutions. And that is where the discussions start about how do we change things. So this is a very important category of why the Commonwealth Scholarship, because it allows you to start to think as a leader, to start to think why you can bring a change to your own host community or your own environment or your own country. So the next one also is access to building a strong network. Imagine that in a Commonwealth Scholarship, they get the best out of the best from the Commonwealth countries. So you are in the midst of potential leaders, in the midst of potential ministers, presidents, name it. People, Commonwealth alumni are all over the globe doing what the unimaginable. You know, they are prime ministers, they are ministers, they are policy makers in their countries. So it's an opportunity when you get it to be in the midst of those people, and that increases your own network and your own social capital as well. The last one is you become a Commonwealth alumni. As a Commonwealth alumni, you have a lot of advantages. Anywhere you go in the world as a Commonwealth alumni, you are being regarded. You have that prestige. People regard you. Then you have this network of people around any country you go, you meet people at the top, at the echelon of that country. So these are some of the reasons why I think everyone should actually think of getting a Commonwealth scholarship, because not only for your own personal development, but also it helps you or gives you the platform to bring a change to your own country and even your own host community. The next one is the types of Commonwealth scholarships. So Commonwealth Scholarship, or the Commonwealth Commission, provides scholarships as well as fellowships. But today we are going to talk about scholarships. And they only give scholarships for postgraduate degrees. As you can see here, we have the master's, then we have a PhD, and we have a split site PhD. And I'm going to explain all of this in due course. And these programs or these scholarships are designed to attract individuals with outstanding talent and identifiable potentials, and to help those individuals become leaders and innovators of the world. That is the main purpose of the Commonwealth Scholarship. So let's start with the masters now. If you are interested in a master's, there are actually up to 3 routes to the master's. The most common one is a full taught master's study, which spans 1 or 2 years, depending on the country. You could come to the UK for a full taught master's, and now the Commonwealth Scholarship has opened up a master's degree in developing countries like Pakistan, India. People could actually apply and go there. And when you get to Pakistan, the master's there is 2 years. I think India as well is 2 years. So depending on what or where you want to go, there is a full taught master's study. Then the second one is the shared master's. So this shared master's is only open to certain disciplines. So these are the disciplines that the Commonwealth Commission, Scholarships Commission, have identified as some of the disciplines that are lacking in developing countries. For example, at Queen's University here, the food security program is open to the shared scholarship. So this master's scholarship, the shared master's scholarship, is being designed for those specific disciplines, and it is being advertised by the host university. So these universities advertise on their websites and say, okay, food security Commonwealth Scholarship. And if you are eligible, you could go through the school's website and apply for the shared Commonwealth Scholarship. Then the other one is the Distance Learning Master's Scholarship. This is designed for individuals that cannot travel or that are working and their work wouldn't allow them to take a leave to actually study. So they could do this courses or their modules or study a master's by distance learning. So there is also that option. So you have the full taught master's study, the shared and the distance learning masters, all designed to benefit you depending on your circumstances. So as I mentioned, the scholarship is tenable either in the UK or other countries, other developing countries, as I mentioned, Pakistan and India. I'm not sure if there are other countries, but I'm sure about Pakistan. Then the second one is the PhD, a full-time doctoral study at a UK university, which usually spans around 3 or 4 years. So this allows you to come to the UK and carry out a full-time research in your proposed study area. And then this is actually done to attract high-quality graduates with the potential to undertake world-class research. That is why this PhD scholarship is designed for people coming directly from Commonwealth countries to actually start their PhDs in the UK. Then the next one is the split site PhD. So this split site PhD is for individuals that have already started their research or their doctoral study in their own countries. They have the opportunity to apply to actually come to the UK for 12 months or 1 year. And the reason is because we do know that in some of the developing countries, there is a lack of equipment or a lack of expertise in a particular area. So doctoral students in Commonwealth countries could actually apply for this, come to the UK and leverage on the equipment and the expertise to actually produce a world-class research. So it helps quality graduates from Commonwealth countries to actually do a research that has a developmental focus. So this is an overview of the types of Commonwealth scholarships administered by the Commonwealth Scholarships Commission. So if either master's or a PhD, you have something there for you. So we now quickly move into why we are here today, because my assumption is most of us here have either started applying or are thinking of applying for the Commonwealth Scholarship. Of course, there is a lot of information on the website, but as someone that has gone through the process, I think it is important for me to actually point you to certain directions which will allow you to think and make it easy or easier for you to apply for this scholarship. So the first thing to note, of course, before you apply is what is the selection process? Because you need to know the selection process before you even start applying. It is important for you to know who your competitors are, what is expected of you. So in the selection process, the first thing is the application form. There is an online application form. There is no other form. It's just online. You go online to the CSC website and it's there. You fill it online and submit. You could print and then submit to your nominating agency. So the second process there is the nomination. Each and every Commonwealth country has its own designated nominating agencies. And these nominating agencies are usually national agencies. Say, for example, in Nigeria is the Federal Scholarship Board. Selected universities could also be nominating agencies. And now there are selected non-governmental organizations and charities in those countries that are allowed to nominate. And of course, if you think about it, this makes sense because it doesn't put the burden of selection on the CSC, the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission. It allows those countries to select the best candidates from their own countries and then send those nominations to the CSC for final selection. So each nominating agency is given a cap. Say maybe the Federal Scholarship Board in Nigeria will be given maybe to nominate 30 or 50 candidates. And you could imagine how many people are there to apply. And the selection process is actually very, very rigorous. So just to highlight that the nomination criteria depends on the agency. So the Federal Scholarship Board could have its own nomination criteria. Universities will have their own, but the most important thing is that they do apply this criteria to select the best out of the best. And it is important for you to know that the deadline, if you are interested in applying this year, or you've started applying, the deadline for nominations is December 2022. So all nominations from nominating agencies of all Commonwealth countries have to be sent to the Commonwealth Scholarships Commission in the UK for final selection. So the final selection now, this is the last process. Once the nominating agencies nominate their best candidates, they send all those nominations to the CSC in the UK, which is in London. The office is in London. And the best is selected, or the best candidates are selected based on the quality of the application, nothing else. It is the quality of the application. So if you look at this selection process now, you will know that two things are out of the individuals or the candidates' control. You don't have the control over your nomination. You don't have a control over your final selection. What you do have control over is the application. And even the final selection is done based on the quality of the application. And that is why you have to invest time in the application form. You have to religiously go through the application form and make sure that nothing is left unattended. So that is that. If you do understand the selection process, you do understand that it starts with a quality application form. Your nominating agency will nominate you based on the quality of the application form and also maybe other criteria. There could be an interview in some nominating agencies, while the final selection is based on the quality of the application form. So if you understand the application process, then the next thing is, what is the application criteria, the selection criteria? You know, if you understand the selection process, then what is the criteria for selection, even at the final stage? Of course, one is based on academic merit of the candidate. This is well specified on the CSC website. These are the three selection criteria they use. One, the academic merit of the candidate, the quality of the study plan or the research proposal, and then lastly, the potential impact on the development of the candidate's home country. Academic merit, quality of the study plan or research proposal if you are going for a PhD, the potential impact on the development of the candidate's home country. And I will explain what all these are and the reason for this. The CSC is trying to use what we call the 3 Ps for the selection. The 3 Ps are usually a model for grant applications. 1 is the person, 2 is the project, and 3 is either the place or the purpose. So why it's not a place here is because we all know where we are going to, the UK, right? For the scholarship. So here, if you look at the first one, the academic merit of the candidate, that's the person. Secondly, the quality of the study plan or the research proposal is the project. And lastly, the developmental impact is the purpose. And if you look at all these 3, in the person, of course, you have to specify your degrees, your publications, your employment history, and how the employment itself is relevant to the application, and also your affiliation. So all of this now combined gives an idea of your academic merit as a candidate. And then if you come to the project, you look at the quality of the research proposal or the study plan. That is what the second one is talking about. Your research proposal if you are going for a PhD, and a study plan if you are going for a master's. And then lastly, what are the objectives and what are your career plans? How do you intend to use the knowledge acquired for the development of your home country? These are the 3 things that are being used to assess and also select the best out of the best. So, of course, the scholarship is an individual personal award. So it's for yourself, it's not for anybody, it's given to you. And that is why you have to invest the time to apply right, complete the application process the way it's supposed to be. And if you look at the 3 Ps, they enable you as a candidate to show why you as a candidate, why your project, and why the purpose of your project combine or are a winning combination that should be funded. That is just basically what you are trying to do. You are trying to convince anybody reading your application that I am the best candidate, that my project is the best, and even being it the best, my project has the potential to impact my own country, to impact my own locality, to impact my own community and the world at large. This is basically what you are trying to do in the application form or in the application process. So coming to the application itself, I will tell you in confidence that a properly completed application form is equals to 50% chance of selection. And this wasn't said by me, it was said by the CSC officials. Whenever we had our welcome program as CSC scholars, we were told, we were congratulated as the best out of the best. And we were told that one of the reasons is because we meticulously took our time to complete the application form. Because I will tell you that filling the application form is not for the faint-hearted. That is a fact, because you are going to see it. You will be asked questions upon questions just so that they know you are the right candidate. And they are very proud, and they know that the faint-hearted wouldn't be able to complete the application process. So even by the application form, a lot of people are being weeded out of the application process because they cannot complete it. Simply, they can't stand it. you know. So completing the application form correctly, you stand a 50% chance of getting selected. So let's look at the application form in summary. Candidates will be asked these things here. So, excuse me. So one is the qualifications. What are your qualifications? Do you have a BSc, a master's, whatever it is, you are going to put that down, which is easy. You have your qualification, you have it. You just put in whatever it is. Then secondly, do you have any publications and prizes? If you have publications, you are allowed to put down up to 10 of your publications. Then I will emphasize also on prizes, because people often overlook this and they don't pay attention. No matter the prize you have, whether it's in your department, whether it's in your community, try and put all those prizes, awards and honors you have actually gotten throughout your academic pursuits. Then the next one is your employment history, and also how your employment is relevant to the application. And then the references. You will be asked to provide the names of 3 referees, 3 people that will actually write how they know you, whether you are a good candidate, what is your character, what is your academic stance, and things like that. And one of those referees must be your current employer if you are employed. If you are not employed, then this is not applicable to you. Then the big one here is the development impact statement, which is divided in 4 parts. So if you look at the top 2 here, the qualifications, publications and prizes, employment history, and its relevance, it's all about the candidate. It's all about your academic merit. And even the referees, what they are doing, they are just confirming that, yes, what you have mentioned, you are actually that person. But the development impact statement is going to tell the CSC why you think, or why you think you should be given a scholarship. Are you just applying for a scholarship for the sake of it, just because you want to come to the UK and get a degree? Or do you have something better in mind? Are you thinking about development? Are you thinking about using the skills and knowledge obtained to better your own society, to better your own country? Then the last one is the proposed study plan. If you are going for a master's, you write, you want to come and do maybe a master's in molecular biotechnology, you will have to write a study plan, why you want to do molecular biotechnology or molecular biology or whatever it is you want to do. You will have to explain, this is the reason and this is what I intend to do with it. So all of this orders, all of this I have mentioned are peculiar to people. And you can easily write down the first 5. That's just filling a form. But what I will want to emphasize on is the development impact statement. Because if you do remember, the main objective of the Commonwealth Scholarship is international development. They want to bring talented people with identifiable potentials that can actually gain some skills and knowledge and go back to their countries and develop those countries. So that is the main purpose of the scholarship. And that is why this is very, very important in the application process. And the development impact statement is being divided into 4 equal parts. And I'm going to dissect that for you to understand. But before you even start writing your development impact statement, it is important to know that there are 2 things you have to keep in mind. There are the CSC development themes and also the sustainable development goals. Before you start filling in the development impact statement, you will be asked your study or your development impact, which category of the CSC development themes does it fall under? And if you identify the CSC development theme, then the next question will be, you should identify 3 sustainable development goals that come under that particular theme. And that's what the next slide is explaining. So these are the CSC development themes. There are 6 of them. The Commonwealth Scholarship Commission came up with these themes, which are almost all encompassing. You have science and technology for development. You have strengthening health systems and capacity, promoting global prosperity, strengthening global peace, security and governance, strengthening resilience and response to crisis, access, inclusion, and opportunity. So these themes, whatever you want to study, you can identify which theme your own study or your development impact it's categorized under, and you have to identify that. And this link here is just a link which is part of the CSC's website, where you have these development themes and you can read more about them. So when you identify your theme, your development impact theme, then the next thing, of course, is you have to identify 3 sustainable development goals that come under that theme. Because now we know that everything in the world is about sustainable development. It's not just development, but whatever you are developing, is it sustainable? Is it going to continue, or is just a one-off thing? So whichever CSC theme you select, you have to identify 3 sustainable development goals. So this is really, really key and important to your development impact statement. So now let's dissect the development impact statement. You can see the development impact statement, as I said earlier, is being divided into 4 equal parts, or 4 parts. And if you look at the first quadrant here on the left, what you will be asked is how your study relates to development issues. Development issues, global development issues, national development issues, and local development issues. And how will also your study be connected to your chosen CSC theme, just what I showed you in the last slide. So you will be asked in this first part of the development impact statement to write about this. So you have to be very succinct, because you do have word limits for this as well. You should be straight to the point and only write what is necessary or what needs to go in there. Then the second quadrant here by the top right is how candidate intends to apply new skills. It is expected that during your study, you are going to acquire new skills. So how are you going to acquire, use these skills after your study to develop your own society? That will be peculiar on what you want to study, or your research, or your research proposal. Then the third quadrant, which is the lower left here, is change in development terms. When they say change in development terms, is what will be the outcomes of your study? What will be the outcomes of your research at the end of the day? And what will be the time frame of you finishing your research and also using what you have acquired to achieve what you said you were going to do? Because you have definitely said in the first quadrant here that, okay, I will apply my study to help my environment, or to help in climate change, or to whatever it is. So what is the time frame that you think you could achieve this? And then also you will be expected to write about the beneficiaries. Who will be the beneficiaries of these development, or what you want to actually achieve. And then the last quadrant here, you will have 6 different questions. Don't be scared. These 6 questions, 3 of them all are about objectives. So the first one will be, what will be the objectives? What are your objectives during your study? The second one will be, what will be the short-term objectives after your study? And the last one will be, what are your objectives, your long-term objectives after your study? So that's 3 gone already. And then the other 3 will be on your personal statement and voluntary activities and leadership. So you could see that the whole of this, when you combine them, they are all trying to get out of the candidate what the candidate wants to do with the knowledge and the skills he has acquired during his scholarship. Will he be able to showcase, will he be able to show that the knowledge and skills acquired could be used for the development of his own country or his own community or his own locality or not? And that is the distinguishing factor mainly in the Commonwealth Scholarship application. A lot of people do not have the resilience to go through these questions, think about them, and actually provide those answers that are needed, because it will be very obvious. You are given what limits. The highest you could write here, I think, is the personal statement, which you are allowed around 500 words. But most of these statements, some of them are even 100, some 250. So you are being constrained by the word limit. And that is why you have to think carefully about what goes in there and how, if anybody reading it, is it actually convincing? Is it a plausible answer to the question that you have been asked? So this is the key to actually filling out your application. So having spoken about that, I will just quickly go through some golden rules, I think, or I have identified that will help you to have a successful application. One is you have to start early, because you could see, as I told you, filling out the application, it's not for the faint-hearted. You have to think, you cannot rush it. You just have to invest time, you have to think, you have to research, and then fill your application out. Not only the application, you have to allow time for your referees to respond. You can't just call your referee maybe a day to the deadline and say, oh, please, can you quickly fill my reference? It doesn't happen that way. So you have to allow for that time. And the earlier you start, the better. Secure an admission. This is most important for the PhD candidates, because in the application, you will have to provide your research proposal, what you want to do. A PhD is about research. You are not coming here to be taught in the classroom. It's about research. So you have to get an admission, and the admission will allow you, of course, get a supervisor. So in the application form, there will be a section where your supervisor has to provide a supporting statement. So if you do not have an admission, you are not going to have a supervisor. And if you don't have a supervisor, then you don't have a supporting statement. And without a supporting statement, you can't complete the application, or your application will not just go through. So also for the master's students, it will be important. If you don't have an admission now, say for example, and you started applying, try and start applying for the admission, because at the end of the day, even if you get the scholarship, you will have to provide an admission. The Commonwealth Scholarship Commission is not going to look for an admission for you. So the earlier you start looking for an admission, the better. So the next one is good references, referees. You have to think carefully about the people you ask to provide references for you, because this forms part of the application. People have to be able to write about your character, write about your integrity, write about how disciplined, how dedicated, how brilliant you are. You know, so you need to identify those people that can actually write a good reference for you and talk to them as soon as you can. You take time to fill out the application. Don't rush it. Don't, if you start answering a question you can't finish today, keep it for tomorrow, come back to it, think about it, and get it right. Don't just write one sentence and say that's it. No, people, once anybody reads, you are writing a development statement with 1 or 2 sentences, they already know you are not interested. And they are looking for the slightest excuse to throw away your application because there are thousands of candidates. So you don't give any room to any of the application assessors or the selection panel to throw out your application. You have to show that you really need this scholarship. And this is what you will do. You will do your best when you get it. Another thing is when you fill out the application, seek expert or mentor advice. Sometimes when we write things, we think they are excellent, they are superb. But when you give it to an expert or a mentor, he will be able to point where you need to improve or where you need to get things better. So, and that is why you need to start early, just to allow for all of this. When you fill out your application, you send it to someone, your mentor, your supervisor, anybody. Even your friends can go through and give you feedback. And the last thing is be positive and resilient. Once you start filling out this application, tell yourself you can do it. Be confident, you know, be resilient. You have to be disciplined, diligent, and say, yes, I want this, and I'm going full out for it, and I'm going to get it. That is a very important attitude to get yourself going. So what stands out, we have said the selection criteria is based on academic merit. People will have degrees, people will have first class. There will be a lot of people competing with you with first class or 2-1. If you don't have a first class, that doesn't mean you are not qualified. The eligibility criteria clearly states at least a 2-1 or a 2-2 with a master's. So even if you have a 2-2 with a master's, you are still qualified. But you need to know what is going to make you stand out. You are competing with thousands of candidates, and these candidates are all out to get it for themselves. So what will help you stand out in academic merit? I will say publications. Even if you are applying for a master's, publications will help you stand out. If you have 1 or 2 publications or any number of publications you have, you throw them in there, because not some people may have a first class, but they don't have a publication. So if you have a 2-1 with publications, which means you have an edge, because publications are a sign of academic rigor, that you can go through a research cycle and actually produce an output. Then the second thing, as I mentioned earlier, is prizes, awards, and honors. Any little prize, any award, any honor you have been given, either while you are in secondary school, primary school, you know, during your undergrad, in your community, any prize, you name it down, you put it, it's going to help you. Then the next thing is your career experience. Were you gainfully employed, and what during your employment, what experience did you get? The experience you got, how important is it? You know, how have you used your experience to help people? So all of this will help you stand out in the application process. Then the second thing, of course, which you will be assessed on, is the proposed study plan. People can write anything, people can write proposals. But the most important thing here is to write to convince a general audience, because you don't know who will be reading your application. It might not be an expert in your own field or in the area you are proposing. So you have to write to a general audience. You take out all the technical jargons and try to write that a layman can understand. Anybody you give your proposal will be able to say, yes, I understand what you intend to do or what you are trying to do. Then be very specific. You don't have to, as I said, write all the technical jargons. Go straight to the point, go straight to your aim of your study, your objectives, what you want to achieve at the end of the day. You don't have to write all about the literature and things like that. You just identify the gap, go after it, and show how you could profile solutions based on that. Lastly is development impact statement, which we hammered on, which we dissected and said it's one of the critical criteria that you will be selected on. So when you are writing your development impact statement, the most important advice is be realistic. Don't say you are going to change the world. Don't say you are going to Mars. Be realistic. And the best way to be realistic is to think about your study or your research and how in the beginning it's going to benefit you and benefit your immediate environment or your locality. Identify problems around you and use your proposed study to say, this is how I think my proposed study is going to solve this immediate problem. That is the kind of thing that the assessors are looking at. Are you thinking about your immediate environment even before you start thinking about changing the world? Those are the little things that matter. You can start from the local, then you go to the national and then the international. That is the way to go about it. And you just be realistic. And also try to mention voluntary and community engagements, because this is an indication that you are interested in development. If you have any maybe voluntary work or activities you have done, or you are part of a charity organization, anything you can think of that you have been involved or you are involved, is important to throw that in, because it shows your ability to actually be involved in a lot bigger after your study. I think that's that about the tips, not to take much of your time. I will just quickly go through the reasons for failure. Of course, this is very obvious, because from what we have said, if you miss out on anything there, your application will just be thrown away, because there are loads of candidates waiting. So one is you do not meet the eligibility criteria. For all of the scholarships, there are around 7 eligibility criteria, which are self-explanatory. But what I wanted to draw our attention to is these 2. All the others are telling you, you have to have a first class or a 2-1, you have to be a citizen of a Commonwealth country, all those. But these 2, now how do you show you are eligible? One is, they said, be unable to afford to study in the UK without the scholarship. So somehow in your application, you have to be able to show that without this scholarship, you will be unable to study in the UK. So you could find maybe in your personal statement to show how you won't be able to afford to study in the UK without a scholarship. And the second thing that people don't pay attention to is have provided all supporting documentation in the required format. This is part of the eligibility criteria, surprisingly, and people who don't pay attention to this, and if you do things in a hurry or in the last minute, you will definitely fall for this, because maybe they are asking you to submit documents in PDF or in JPEG and in a particular order, but you just send everything just because you are in a rush and you didn't pay attention to that. They will just discard your your application straight away. So you have to pay attention to this and make sure that you do things the way they are supposed to be done. Then, of course, you left the application until the last minute. No grammar checks, no proofreading by yourself or someone, appropriate documents not provided. You forgot to include names, address, wrong information. This is all bound to happen when you do things in the last minute or in a rush. And once any of the assessors sees grammar checks, typographical errors, he knows you are not meticulous and you are not simply not the candidate to be awarded that type of scholarship. You didn't answer the questions appropriately. So the development impact statement we are talking about, you have to pay attention what they are asking you and you provide the answers appropriately. You missed the deadline. This is very obvious. You missed, that's it. Nobody is going to consider you. So this is some of the obvious reasons, of course, and some things I just picked that I think I should let you know. So that brings us to the end of the presentation, and I would like to use this opportunity to actually thank the Zeribe Nwosu Foundation, the moderator as well, Dr. Okbai Eze, for providing us this wonderful platform to actually share our knowledge. So lastly, I wish you the best of luck as you apply. And I think you have to play the game correctly in order to win. So of course, if you don't play it the right way, you don't stand a chance. So thank you very much for your kind attention, and thank you very much, Zeribe Foundation. So I'm happy to answer any questions, Dr. Oba.
Thank you, Dr. Shamsudeen. That was a very, I would say, a very meticulously prepared presentation.